Greetings and salutations. Once again, we are continuing through Act 5 on the One Talent Challenge in Hardcore. We're going to go down and kill Neelathok. I found the waypoint. Didn't find the pathway down yet. But when we find the pathway down, we're going to go kill Neelathok and try to get out of normal in this video. If we don't make it out of normal this video, we're going to try to get as close as humanly possible. And if it warrants it, I'll make a third video. Now, as I said in my previous video, I was going to talk about the duality system. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's the duality system? Well, everything must maintain balance. Where there is good, there must also be evil. Where there is light, there must also be dark. So on and so forth. Everything has to maintain that balance. All things in balance. This brings about the duality system. Now, everybody says, if everybody has this ideal that if society was to just get along and unify, that all the world's problems would be solved. And on the surface, they're generally right. Now, where it kind of goes astray is when you start looking at it from the perspective of what happens in a unilateral structure. If you take what is normally a duality system, like we have right now, and you get rid of one side. So let's say you have good versus evil, and you've eliminated all the evil in the world. Okay? What happens? At first you're like, yeah, well, all the evil's gone. But eventually, slowly and surely, you will start looking at one another, pointing at one another, and saying, well, they're less good than I am, therefore they are evil, and they need to be cast out of society. Or, oh, they're less good because of insert reason. They need to be now cast out of society. And it will continue to be this circle, this cycle of finding the least good person, vilifying, and then casting them out and casting them into exile. This will inevitably happen in a unilateral society, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be let's say the evil people take over. Not that I want it to happen, but let's say they do. They would find the least evil person, castigate them as good, cast them out of society, and say, well, there you go, they're the least evil person, now they're gone. And it always happens. Always. Salem witch trials are a perfect example. McCarthyism is another perfect example. And that's just on a micro scale. Think about it on a macro scale. Right? What if you have a group of people that are looking for specifically this one quality? And it doesn't matter what it is. You can pick any quality at all, and then say, oh, well, they have the least amount of said quality. And you throw them out. Think of it like a football team. Or think of it like a basketball team or a baseball team. Oh, they're the least qualified player. Throw them out. Now see what you're getting? Eventually you'll be left alone, because there'll be two people. And those two people will sit there and they'll go into competition with one another. And that's what happens in a duality system. So that duality must maintain. It must exist. So everything must have that duality. There must be, so is their life, so is their death. So must there be life, so must there be death. So must there be joy, so must there be sorrow. Everything has to maintain balance. Everything. Because if you take away that balance, you then become one-sided, and that one-sidedness starts I can't even say breeding animosity, but starts casting suspicion. Because people don't believe that it's gone. They can't. They've been innately programmed to believe that there is a duality. And there's no way around that. There really is no way around that. The duality must be maintained. Because you have to have something to compare it to. Another example, if all you do is win, if everything you ever do is winning, how would you know what losing feels like? If everything you've ever done is lose, how would you know what winning feels like? See? Now, people would say, well, people would like to pick that apart and say that I'm just being not really a contrarian or anything like that. They would try to say that I'm trying to justify the actions of others, or that I'm trying to... It's nothing like that at all. It is merely that everything must maintain a balance in life. Because if it falls out of balance, it's foreign to have things out of balance. It is so foreign to the human mindset to have things out of balance. And then, I mean, to be honest, I think it honestly boils back down to the reason why it feels out of balance for everything to be... The reason why I think it feels unnatural for everything to be out of balance is because if you think about it, the entire human body is about balance. For example, the body, and this is something you can learn in 8th grade biology, the human body craves what is called homeostasis. Homeostasis is a point of being equal. Legitimately, like, equal across the board. Your body doesn't need anything, it doesn't want anything, it just is. And that equivalence and that balance is what it's been trying to find all along. This is why when people drink, or when people do illicit substances, they throw off that homeostasis. This is why you have hangovers. This is why you have deficiencies. When you have those deficiencies, your body desperately tries to make up for it for craving foods. You see? Now, here's an interesting thought. For those people out there that like to partake in marijuana, not that I'm one of them, but those people out there that are much like the trolls in World of Warcraft, and they're like, we be after the ganja man. Anybody that's out there that's like that will notice something. That, what do you feel after you've had, after you've gotten high? Well, a lot of people, some people feel paranoid. Not necessarily paranoid, but paranoia is a symptom. Some people are not really, I guess, I can't really say nervous, but some people are contemplative. Some people are, like, the feelings range all over the place, but almost universally, everybody gets the munchies. Now, why is that? It's not because this stuff spurs on appetite. I think that that's what we've been led to believe, but I don't think that's the truth. I think the chemical compound of THC bonds with certain things in your digestive system and throws off the chemical compounds in your body. And by doing so, your body now starts to crave specific things. Salt, sugar. Now, if you take a look at the chemical composition of salts and sugars, why would your body crave specifically those? It's a little weird. This is just a theory I'm postulating here. It doesn't mean it's actually, true or anything like that. But intaking any chemical, even caffeine from coffee, causes the body to react. Some people can't process caffeine and it makes them jittery. Other people like me can drink an entire pot of coffee and fall asleep. But it does still throw off the chemical balance of your body, and your body starts to process it, and then it requires something to maintain that homeostasis, you see. Now, sometimes the body does not need anything because the body will take in food to process and to provide that mineral or that vitamin. The body can create that which it does not intake. Your body can create any sort of chemical that it needs.
Thanks.
However, it needs fuel to do so. So, with it needing that fuel to do so, it's quite the interesting. It's quite the interesting take that the body will take in. You know, that it would take in whatever it needs to produce material or what have you. Really, Neelithok? There.
Betrayer, you reap your reward.
There. We have that. That's Neelithok dead. So now we have to focus on killing the mercenaries and
Can I help you?
getting to go where we need to go. We're hoping we can make it. He's going to allow me to personalize an item. We're going to personalize this. OTC Druids Field Plate. Stealth. But with your body needing that homeostasis and needing that balance, that just shows that even the duality system does not work outside or inside of the human body. The human body also needs that balance too. So it's kind of interesting that everything in the world must be in balance. And that was one of the interesting thoughts that I had the other day. And it was all about how everything that exists in such a duality is just it makes me sound like I'm some sort of complete and utter nerd. Which, I mean, to be fair, I kind of am. But man, I tell you, having those deep thoughts and constantly thinking about stuff like that, a lot of people seem to like it. Or at least when I talk to them, they find it interesting. Though I think they're just being kind, because if they found it interesting, they'd stick around. Yet, usually when I have these chats, they don't stick around. They're just like, ah, yes, well, that's a great, that's a great theory you've put forth, but, you know, then they come up with a reason they have to leave. I guess it kind of boils down to the whole, you're too smart for your own good. Which, I'm going to tell you right now, if anybody ever says that, if to any of my viewers out there, if you hear the words, you're too smart for your own good, that is not a compliment. Do not believe that as a compliment. Do not take it as a compliment. And do not say, oh, yes, well, thank you for the compliment. Don't. Because it's an insult. Especially if the person saying it is somebody that you were looking at as a romantic interest. If she says, like, to all the guys out there that are watching this, if she says to you that you're too smart for your own good, it basically means she wishes you were adult. And I think it's because if people that are not very bright and kind of doltish, are easy to deceive. And deception nowadays is on the rise. Like, a lot of people out there are deceptive, and they prefer to be deceptive because their genuine self. And I think this kind of plays into the whole duality as well. You have YouTube persona versus actual person, right? Is the actual person as genuine as the YouTube persona, or is it all just a put-on facade? Because if it's a facade and you're just putting on a mask, people are going to figure it out. You'd think that they would notice, right? Ah, yes, his persona doesn't match the rest of him. We have found him out. Right? Well, you know. This is why I try to be as authentic to my normal self as I am. This is another thing I do. When I'm having a discussion with people, what I'll do is I'll start out in a discussion with vocabulary that most people understand, that most people can grasp, and I will slowly ratchet it up to vocabulary that they can't. And then when they just kind of look at me with a puzzled look on their face, I dial it back down to where they understand it. It lets me know how to navigate the conversations better. It may seem like I'm trying to treat them like they're an idiot, but I'm not. It's to gauge, I guess, their vernacular, and it's to gauge kind of like an intellectual level without actively trying to point at them and say, I think you're a complete fool. Because you don't want to do that either. You don't want to openly insult people. So, doing what I do in the way I have conversation, it kind of works for me, but at the same time, kind of doesn't. So, I don't recommend that either. But, back to the whole, duality of YouTube persona versus actual person. Regarding myself, I would say that I'm quieter in person. Much quieter in person, actually. I only talk at length on here. It's kind of an interesting muse, so to speak. For lack of a better term. It is an interesting muse because I sit here and I view this platform as a way to speak openly if you're not trying to be overly contrarian or overly confrontation. Though confrontation, people thrive on it because it's drama. Which, the way I see it is if you're thriving off of drama, that's all well and good, I guess, personally, if you enjoy it. I don't. I have no real interest in drama. And so I'm not really a fan of it or indulging in it. And as a matter of fact, I try to stay out of as much drama on and off YouTube as humanly possible. But my YouTube personality is just like my regular personality. I am this way in person. Only quieter. That's it. If you were to meet me in person, I would be much quieter until I know the person. I'm very introverted. Which this helps. It doesn't really help the introversion, but it helps. It helps to be, I guess, more of like a verbal outlet for the deep thoughts. Ooh, Infernal Pit. That might not be a good idea, though, because last time I did something like this on another character, I bit the biscuit. That was never a good thing. Because it turned out to be one of them biscuits you don't want to bite, because it was, like, deadly and gnarly and everything like that. Ah, yes, one of the best reasons to use ravens right there. Nothing they can do. They can't even fight against the ravens because they can't hit them. And now they're all blinded, so they can't throw their green snot at me. Ha ha ha. There we go. I think that I have an actual working theory for introverts. And having, been an introvert for the majority of my life, all of it, this working theory has yet to be, I guess, undermined or debunked. But it's still a working theory, so I can't claim it as a theorem and say that it's factual. But there is a group of people out there that are called psychic empath. Now, a psychic empath is not like what you would think. Anybody, usually when people hear the word, psychic, they immediately think, read my fortune. Well, look, there's nothing that can read your fortune. I also do palm readings, but guess what? That also doesn't read your fortune. I also do numerology, and that also doesn't read your fortune. And as much of an unpopular opinion as it may be, astrology. Not the whole, we're in the, Mercury retrograde or whatever. No, I don't even want to get into that. I'm talking just your astrological sign does play at least somewhat of a role into how your personality is. A lot of people like to claim it doesn't, but shocker, it actually does. However, what happens is these people like to think that, like, by saying, they kind of like live up to the meme. They're just like, oh, I'm sorry, my, astrological sign is acting up or whatever. And they like to play it off as like, oh, I didn't mean to, do this, that, or the other thing. I'm an Aquarius or whatever. And they like to play it off as, ow, that hurt. Wow. Trouble. They like to play it off as like their astrological sign dictated how they acted or behaved that day. Not likely. It more or less affects general interests. Like, Aries are generally more like spur of the moment. Taurus is more down to earth. They're more of a gourmand. They enjoy food. Stuff like that. General personality traits. It's nothing massive and earth-shaking or anything like that. So, knowing that, people like to, they like to make fun of it and, think it means, but back to the whole, working theory about introverts. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. The working theory I have with introverts is that they are psychic empaths, like I mentioned. Now, a psychic empath is somebody who can almost tune into another person like you're tuning into a radio station. They can feel what that person is feeling, even down to, like they can feel legitimately everything that person is feeling. They can almost... I kind of hard to explain it, but almost as if they are that person emotionally at that moment. So they can feel what another person is feeling. And every single introvert I have met has that capacity to do this. And this is without exception thus far. All of them have the ability to know how someone else is feeling. They just know. They can walk into a room and know exactly the room's dynamic without having to know what went on. Because introverts are the ones that have to get a feel for the room. And then they turn around and they're just like, oh, yes. And people accept the whole introvert-extrovert thing, right? Like, oh, the introverts need a social battery recharge. Yeah, that's because they're also psychic empaths and they're picking up everyone else's emotions. Now, there's a way that you can block out other people's emotions. It does work to an extent, but it still takes energy. It still takes time. And they still end up draining their social battery doing so. However, psychic empaths are very interesting people. And the only way I can really describe it, and it's funny when I described it this way to pretty much every one of my introvert friends. Being an introvert and being a psychic empath is like Dragon Ball Z. You are part of a special, small group of people, and only the people that are part of that group and are allowed into that group know what it's like. Just like when in Dragon Ball Z, Gohan eventually reads Videl into, him being a Saiyan and him being a Super Saiyan and all the rest of it. Kind of like that, just with psychic empathy. And the reason I say it's a working theory is because every single psychic empath I've met is an introvert. And every single introvert I've met kind of has the propensity of being a psychic empath, which is kind of funny. Now, let's extrapolate this further. Every single time I tell them, this is how you can block out other people's emotions, give it a try. Like clockwork, they go from being introverted to being an ambivert. They have a more extroverted nature and they're more talkative because they're blocking out the emotions. I've had a few times where my introversion and my psychic empathy is really picked up on somebody and it's really run with it. And it's kind of funny. I'll go into those anecdotal stories. One of them was I was sitting down on my couch and I thought to myself, I wonder how this one person was doing. Now, I hadn't talked to them in months. Like, months and months and months. It was a very long time since I had talked to them. And no more than I thought that about, I wonder how they were doing. In my head, I got this image of their feet in a bubble bath. And I was like, that's weird. And then I waited for a second, and it went away. And then I saw them putting their hair up in a bun while sitting on their couch. And I got the feeling of exhaustion, like it was a long day at work. And so I asked them, I was just like, did you just get out of a bubble bath and put your hair in a bun? And she said, yeah, I did. How did you know that? I said, I don't really know how I did that. This is back in the early times when I didn't know what I was doing. So I don't really know. I don't really know how I did that. I just had this feeling that that's what happened. I said, you had a really long day at work and you're exhausted. And I said, I get the feeling that you're going to pull the cork out of a bottle of wine and enjoy some wine. And she's like, I've got the cork pull in my hand. How are you doing this? I was like, I wished I could explain exactly how. but there's no real way to explain it. So I just kind of gave the response of, "I'm a wizard." And she just it spooked her. I mean, rightfully so. I mean, she lived probably 45, 50 minutes away at the time, and it's like I'm sitting on my couch, you know. It's like all of a sudden it just pops into my head.
Afternoon.
And then I had another friend. I live on the East Coast. Okay, she lives all the way out in California.
Afternoon.
All the way out in California. This is quite some time ago now. This was 6 years ago, 7 years ago now, something like that. Well, anyway, and she's living all the way out in California. I sat there and I thought, man, I haven't heard from her in a while. I wonder how she's doing. And I immediately had this overwhelming feeling of excitement, like really excited, but I couldn't talk about it. So, like, yeah, there's this event coming up, but I don't mention it, right? And as I'm sitting there, I realized that I was like, I'm not shaking this feeling. So I message her and I'm like, "What are you excited about that you can't mention?" Just that was my first message. I wasn't, "Hey, how you doing?" No, I said, "What are you excited about that you can't mention?" And she said something that was rather hurtful, but at the same time true. She's like, "Of course I can mention it now because it's long past." She goes, "Well, you can't tell anybody." She's like, "I'm going to tell you because I know you don't talk to anyone." Right there. That was like, ow. Basically saying, I know you don't have a social circle. But she's like, my brother's going to get married. He's about ready to propose to his girlfriend. She's like, "But you can't tell anybody." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna." And that's what she was excited about and she couldn't talk about. Of course, he's now married and moved on. I don't know if he has a kid yet, but you know, he's already married to her, so. Nevertheless, it was great. Like being able to do that. And I mind you, she was in California. So I like tuned into her feelings, 3,000 something or other miles away. And it's like, yeah. And she's like, "How on earth did you do that?" And all I could tell her was, "I'm a wizard." You know, that's really all I can say. But yeah, I mean, it's being that being a psychic empath has its advantages and disadvantages. Like being able to tune in to people and know how they're feeling and be able to tell them, "Hey, like I know exactly what you're going through," or, "Hey, I know what it's like. I can empathize with you on that regard." That's great. Except it's except it also sucks because you sit there and you think, "Well, yeah, I can empathize with these people," but at the same time, they think I'm crazy and weird. No, same could be said for doing palm reading, and same could be said for doing numerology. I mean, I have Asian friends that are just like, "Oh, palm reading. Well, could you read my fortune?" It's like, it's not gonna help. That's not how it works. It's not like that at all. It's, you know, I read your palms. It tells me about you. It tells me how you are as a person. I say it's the same way with like doing numerology. I could tell people about how they are by knowing their numerology, and it's kind of off-putting because people are like, "Wait a minute, how are you getting that out of just knowing a birth date, right?" And it's kind of funny because I find it comical because they sit there and their mouth just kind of drops open and they look at you like, what trickery is this? It's like there's no trickery. It's just numbers. The numbers tell everything. No one can escape their numbers. It's like your numbers are your numbers. What you're born with is what you will have. It's like, to give a rough example, I was born and my number when I'm born calculates out on the day itself calculates out to be a 9. And the total overall number ends up being an 8. Now, when you have a 9, it means a humanitarian. You give of yourself freely to others, and you help others without expecting anything in return. Very altruistic, etc. Well, the other thing is, that's your karmic number. So that's how you are in the early life. So the day you're born on is your karmic number. Now, let's say you're born on the 15th. Well, if you're born on the 15th, that's a 6. So you see how that works? You add the 1 and the 5 together. The numbers can add up to, obviously, like your total number, which is your entire birth date. Month, day, year, doesn't really matter. Or day, month, year, doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter how you calculate it. Your entire birth date tells you how you end up later in life. Okay? Now, how this happens is, let's say you become a 6 later in life, right? That means you crave harmony. You crave harmonious energy. You don't like it when there's arguments. You don't like it when there's fights. So on and so forth. And you prefer not to be around any of that fighting energy or anything like that. You don't want to be a part of that area. And you will make, like, in your late life number, that's exactly how you will be later in life. You'll still maintain a portion of your early life number. So if your early life was, say, a 5, you'd always be on the move. You're always looking for adventure, either physically or mentally. And if your body's not moving, your mind is. Oh. So, like I was saying, if your body's not moving, your mind is. So something's always got to be working as a 5. So let's say you were born on the 14th or the 5th, right? When you're born on those days, or even the 23rd, when you're born on those days, depending on the days you're born on. So if you're born on the 5th, you're going to be just that 5 itself, right? And the 5 in and of itself is the gotta move, gotta keep going, gotta keep active, gotta stay always moving, right? And let me go back to town real quick because I don't know if I missed a waypoint. Yep, the Ancient's Way. There's a waypoint, and I have not gotten it. I will get it first. So that's if you're born on the 5th. Now, if you're born on the 14th, you have a little bit of the 1 and the 4. The 1 would be either leadership quality or... Pardon me. Leadership quality or selfishness, egocentrism. You'd be all about self. Or you're a leader, one or the other. Right? And the 4 is somebody who craves order, organization, and that the having things organized, regimentation, scheduling itineraries. You'll love it, right? So with all of that, with the 1 and the 4 there, and then of course if you're born on the 23rd, and you have the 2 and the 3, the 2 and the 3 add up to 5 as well, which, again, you keep that overarching 5. However, you have the 2, which is either really, really spiritual and into faith and being faith-based, or you're into the occult. Not necessarily like witchcraft or anything like that, but you go so far as to, believe in Sasquatch and the Loch Ness Monster and stuff like that, and you'll want to go hunting for that stuff. That's what 2s are. That's what they're into. Because they're either religious or occult. Not occult in a bad way, but just occult.
Past the summit of Mount Ariat.
Thanks.
This is tough. I'm concentrating a lot. Ooh, I got one of them. That's very loud. I think I got him. Nice. Oh. One more hurdle to overcome. We did it. But, back to the whole numerology thing. A 3 is indecisive. So the 2 is somebody who's very spiritual, and the 3 is indecisive. Now, everybody says, well, what's the good side of the 3? That you're indecisive. Now, that's where you're going to have some confusion and be like, how is that deemed a positive? Well, let's take a look at it. You're indecisive. Now, you don't know what to do. It's hard to make your mind, and when you finally do make up your mind, what happens? You make, by far, the best possible decision because you took the longest time to think about it. So the indecisiveness ends up being a benefit. Alright? Even being ordered and regimented and being a 4, a lot of people would see it as a stick in the mud. Well, yeah, it could be a very stick in the mud or stickish. So it's like, oh boy, they're gonna be boring because they're not like fly the seat of your pants, go out and just have fun. No, they want to have fun, but they want to have an itinerary. They want to have a schedule. They want to have it planned out before them. And yes, that sounds very boring and very droll, but the good thing is they always have a timetable to keep. Now, going further, I've already explained 2s, the 3s, the 4s, 1s, the 5s, the 6s, 7. 7's a bit of an oddball. Now, a 7 is somebody that has both the qualities of the 3 and the 4. And I know that people are going to be like, well, no, duh, they have a 3 and a 4 in their numbers. Yes, but that's the only number that really does that. Right? So if you are born on the 7th, then your early number obviously is going to be a 7, and it's going to behave just like a 3 and a 4 combined, even though it's not a 3 and a 4 combined to make that 7. But being born on like the 25th or the 14th gets to be utterly confusing because, not 14th, sorry, 16th, it gets to be utterly confusing because you're a 1 and a 6, but yet you're a 7, so you have the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 6. You can see where it gets to be a little confusing there. It's a lot of numbers. Ooh. Should I go attempt Baal? Yeah. We're going to go attempt Baal. This one's going to be a bit of a long video. It'll probably end up being an hour long, unless I can find Worldstone Keep level 3 and 4 and just get down there real quick. Well, another Ral rune. I'll take those all day, every day. I think the reason I'll take those runes is because if I had the chipped gems, I could turn around and actually turn them into the higher level runes. You know, Raltal, Ort, Thol, Ow. That was 107 life or something like that. That was a lot. It was extremely painful. Let's not have that happen again. I think it's this edge bow that's really doing it. Really doing all the work. That Thorns Aura. Level 15 Thorns. I think that's what's doing it. Oh, good. Can you imagine? You know who I think is going to be a problem too is Lister the Tormentor. I think he's going to be a big problem. Or the Pit Lords before him. Ugh. Nope, do not want to get surrounded. Well, my mercenary can get surrounded because they just kill themselves on the thorns or are there. But because I got surrounded, I can't get any. I don't have any evade way to avoid damage, so I just end up eating the whole thing. We're gonna try to make it all the way down and kill Baal. We're gonna try. Like I said, I don't really want to do a portal jockey strat, but if I have to win, I'll do it. I'll just go get my, I'll go to the portal and get my mercenary and just keep doing it, if nothing else. I'd prefer not to, because I think it's kind of lame. But hey, I've restricted myself enough with this one talent, Just proving that I can do it on this game is is interesting. Ooh, I heard a jewel. I think Nightmare is going to be a little bit easier because I get the wolf, and I can get a lot of wolves, which is going to increase my Raven damage exponentially, and it's going to increase my wolf damage because Ravens are going to grant my wolves damage. So, and it grants me, you know, bodies on the front line. You know what wouldn't be a bad idea? To go find a headpiece that gives plus to wolf, plus to direwolf, or plus to grizzly. I might have to go start checking the vendors. Ow. I hate it when those things do that little, you know, summon a worm from the body. Hate that. I don't mind the Death Lords because they end up just blowing themselves up on the Thorns damage. It's like, yes, use your Frenzy, get increased attack speed, just destroy yourselves quicker. Wait a minute. 3 socket? 2. It's a shame. I was hoping for 3 socket. Maybe I could jam some diamonds in there to get some extra resistances. But, eh. It is what it is. That's not what I wanted. Wait. Ah, okay. I forgot Razan talks when I give him potions. Because I thought if that was them saying Stone of Jordan sold the vendors, I was going to be in trouble. Because I was going to get Uber Diablo out here. And it's like, I don't need Uber Diablo coming across my world. It'd be a very bad thing. I am going to check that when I go back to town. I'm going to see if I can find a helmet with +2 wolf, direwolf, or grizzly. Any specific +2 skill. Just to see if I can, because if I can get one, that'll be huge. That'll help me out massively, because then I can get another body up front. She doesn't have any armor. That's tragic. Hopefully Anya's got some armor.
You. Bestie.
You stand.
Nope, nothing there.
Can I?
Wait, maybe I can gamble something off of her. No, not circlets, because they won't do it. I need specifically wolf helms. Or falcon masks or something like that. Come on, give me something. There's a regular mask. That doesn't help. Really? Oh. This is gonna be grim. Because Lister the Tormentor is
The ancient.
it's gonna be bad. Lister the Tormentor is not to be trifled with. He's not easy. And it's... Well, we're gonna try. Kill Baal's minions. I mean, I might have to portal jockey on just Lister the Tormentor, to be honest with you. This is a 56-minute video. Oh, and I forgot to buy potions, too.
Thanks.
Okay, so it's shift-click to hand it to him. Okay, that's a good thing. So now I can just shift-click it to him, and I don't have to worry about it. Oh, flawless diamond. I know, why am I clearing out all the area? Well, plain and simple. Is if I have to lead all of these Baal's minions all the way around, I don't want to run into also, you know, ads and everything. I don't want to do that. Whoa! Kind of like that. Antlers. Volcano. Really? Really? Why couldn't it have been, like, plus to Grizzly? Oak Sage. Like, even plus to Oak Sage would be a huge boon. Like, anything right now. I'm starting to actually see the limitations of one talent. The Ravens do a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but it's like, look at how, like, I don't get the bonus from Oak Sage. I don't get any bonuses from anything else. And here I am just... just going at it with Ravens. Rare composite bow. Yikes. That's an awful lot of them. I was gonna say, I have more than 12 keys. What am I picking that up for?
Thanks.
No, this is definitely tough. I'm gonna have to load up on potions. load up on potions and empty my inventory. But we're trying it. We're trying it. I mean, it's gonna be the longest, my longest video to date. But we're gonna try it. I mean, I have to. I've come this far. I don't want to back out now and
Day.
leave people hanging in the lurch.
Good morning.
Well, like I said before, if I end up dying, if I die, then it is what it is. You know, it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. We're gonna do it. All the stuff's been cleared. That's the first one. That's Colenso the Annihilator. Well, those ravens are putting in good work, too. Akmel the Cursed. Oh, he's down. Like I said, I'm worried about a couple of others. Worried about those.
Thanks.
Okay, so I've got a couple of them dead. Don't lure him over here, you fool. This one I'm really worried about because they're fast. We did it. One more to go. This is the other one I was worried about, was Lister the Tormentor. The reason I'm worried about these is because they have a bash attack. And they can just absolutely stun lock you. Not to mention they're all spectral hit, too. And he's dead. What I was saying. These guys are tough, man.
Afternoon.
They're supposedly tougher than Baal. But hey, you know, my mercenary is 33, so... Man, they give a lot of experience. Well, I'm almost out of potions, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into town, and we're gonna go buy more potions. It took me 5 minutes, 5 minutes alone, just to clear all of Baal's minions. Oh, here it is.
The legendary world star, guardian of the natural realm.
Thanks. Thanks.
Oh, he's dead. That's not even the real Baal. That's the fake Baal. Ow. Told you. Yeah, I need my mercenary again. This is not going well.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Not going well at all. But it is what it is. Yeah, see that right there is so annoying. Ow. Yeah, I can't hit him at all. Oh, that one's dead. His little minions. Man, this is...
Good evening.
I wouldn't say it's impossible, it's just... It's difficult. It's very difficult. This is going to be a long fight, I fear. This is probably going to be like a 1 hour, 20-minute video. Interesting. Apparently I can hit the real Baal more than I can hit the fake one. Yeah, it's not good. Baal's almost dead though. He's like half dead.
May I be of help?
I really didn't want a portal jockey, but you know what? I'm gonna. It's a legitimate strategy. This is quite tough. Until I run out of arrows. That's not good at all. And he's already dead. He just got annihilated.
Good evening.
And I had all my mana burned.
Yes, warrior.
Thanks.
I might be able to get him. Not good, not good, not good. He just put up a Baal clone right on top of me. I mean, right on top of me. Jeez, man, could you not do that? Mercenary hasn't done much of anything. He's just been standing around giving me prayer aura. Oh,
Baal, join your brothers in oblivion.
took some portal jockeying and 17 minutes,
Greetings.
but I did it. I beat normal with only one talent. The Ravens. One talent and a merc. On hardcore. Normal down. On a nightmare. But that's going to be for next time. We're waiting for the... I'm going to wait and let this happen. This video. And then I'll do my sign off. And this is going to be the longest video I've posted to date. I apologize if my commentary was not very riveting during the fight. I also apologize for my rather different statements I made. It's a little... I just had a philosophical moment. That's how I always get when playing Diablo. Yay. Now, the thing is Tyrael was completely justified in breaking the World Stone because Baal had corrupted it and was going to spew forth forces of hell. So to slow down that invasion, Tyrael decided destroy the World Stone. That way there's no portal between worlds. He gets kicked out of the Angiras Council for it. He's just like, yes, I did this good thing. And the Angiras Council's like, get out. There it is. Destroyer OTC Druid. The one talent challenge Druid. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go into Nightmare. I'm going to put my point into Wolf. And we're going to see. I'm going to show you. I'll show you right now.
Good day.
Don't worry about Wareve. Wareve can just sit on it and rotate for a minute. 16 skills. So when I put this in here, I get life and get life for the direwolf and grizzly damage. But this gets bonuses from Raven. So this doesn't get any bonuses from Raven, but this gets bonuses. So we're going to watch how far my damage of Raven goes up. Because we're going to do Summon Spirit Wolf. Now the wolves, they don't look like they do much. I get 338 life, attack rating, cold damage. But now my Ravens do 213 to 274. That being the case,
Good day.
we now can use 2 talents. But again, that's for another video. I thank everybody for watching. If you've watched this far to the end of the video, I am eternally grateful. I thank you for that. And I thank you for joining me on this adventure. And the next time you see the Diablo 1 Talent Challenge, we're going to be in Nightmare with 2 talents. We're going to see if that extra talent can get us through Nightmare. And we're going to see if a third talent, if we make it through Nightmare, we're going to see if a third talent can make us through Hell. But that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I did. I'm glad we finished normal. I mean, I was sitting there and I was close to, like, I sat there just thinking there's no way I could do it. There's no way I could pull it off, but I did. And I'm glad I did. And I'm glad you were here along for the ride. And as always, have a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and have a good one.